Time to breeze. First, I want to go ahead and say, who do I see in the live chat first and foremost? In the live chat, first up is Sylvia Wick Kelly being first in the live chat. Sylvia Wick Kelly is first in the live chat. Next would be second, going to at Mary Beanie, second in the live chat. And our final podium place in the live chat right now will go third place, will go to Lucas being third in the live chat. And if you're not first, you're last. But guess what? That last step on the podium does matter. So big shout out to everybody joining the live chat. We are going to talk about some things today. We're going to talk about Red Bull. We're going to talk about Red Bull losing more. Like there's a possibility, a strong possibility that Red Bull are going to be losing a lot more coming up here in the future sometime. And I do mean this season. I'm not talking about next season. But there is also a possibility that Red Bull does maybe return and establish some ground hold and start dominating Formula One, from which we've known it for the past few seasons, especially since 2020, breaching the cost cap, cheating in the championship, 2022, breaching all that. And it was a snowball effect. A lot of us felt that Red Bull breached the cost cap, cheating, and it just kind of trickled down into the other seasons. But now we're in a season that is foreign to our perspective of what we all thought was going to happen coming into this season. So I am pretty sure, like I've said it before, many people probably said at the beginning of this season that Red Bull would likely win every race. So I will say that. A big shout out to everybody. Big shout out to K5. Big shout out to Loki Tank. Sylvia Wick is in here heavy. Will, everybody join me. Big shout out. Appreciate you all. So yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of you all said Red Bull was probably our Max Verstappen, at least because Perez is not seeming such the driver pairing that maybe Red Bull had hoped, but I'm not too sure about that either. It seems like Perez is not going to be in jeopardy of losing his seat. But before we get there, it seems like Maria Duncan said, why would they try to get rid of Perez before the Mexican GP? That might be public or publicity suicide is how some may put it. That may be publicity suicide. But I do want to say this. Red Bull right now are failing. And there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of things going out here, right? There's the component of Adrian Newey. There's the variable. There's the variable of Adrian Newey. There's the variable of the Christian Horner scandal fracturing the team. There is the variable of the technical regulations about the braking system. There are the variables of several other key components. Jonathan Wheatley getting out on the exit of Red Bull. What all, if not all of them, have transpired or equaled or tallied up to Red Bull falling, okay? I can't say directly, but my guess would be Adrian Newey would be the key. Adrian Newey to me would be the key component that has fallen from the Red Bull alignment and caused this fracture, and now Red Bull's on the downslide. That's what I would say. Some of you would say it's technical regulation 11.2.1. Some of you would say it's Christian Horner. I would say this. I think there's a better way for us to try to see with data, with key points, with information, what may have been the catalyst for what has happened here. So what I do is I typically get information if I really want to try to get a better picture or a better understanding of what may have led to something to change. If I have data, if I have dates, if I have variables, if I have numbers, if I have anything like that, I'll plug it into a chart and I'll sit back and look at it. So that's what I've done. I've plugged this information into a chart of my own. Now, listen, this is not perfect. It's not, I didn't even finish it all, but it gives us some visual perspective of possibly what might be going on here, okay? And I'm going to show you all what I have here, and hopefully it does help you all. Hopefully it kind of at least comes across at least a little bit beneficial. And I will bring that up on the screen right now for us to view it. So let me go ahead and get this up on the screen for you. Like I said, this is not something that's perfect by any means, but it will, I think, give us some type of representation that will help us kind of visually see where can we see where something took place, and then after said thing took place, where it was a drastic change where we could say, you know what, that likely may have been the culprit. That is what I've done here, okay? So check out this data chart. Check out this chart, all right? So at the top, our key is Red Bull gap. So what I've done here is the orange is it is outlining the Red Bull gap. Right here is a 0, all right? This is 0 right here, all right? And then on the 0 line, that's a gap of 0 or more or 0 or less. So if it's less, that means Max Verstappen was behind the leader by said seconds. If it's more, that means Max Verstappen had that much of a gap on whomever was second or third or whatever the case may be. So right here, we have the Christian Horner scandal right here as a red key, all right? And that happened toward the beginning of the season. So it's true, they came out on a high that day, but they did take a dip, all right? They did take a dip in that second race by the gap being 13 seconds, okay? 13 seconds, Max had a gap, but here in this race, Max had a gap of about 22 seconds, okay? Well, if we come to the yellow block, this is when Adrian Newey news started to come out, okay? Adrian Newey news started to come out around April, May timeframe, maybe officially announced in May. And if you see Newey, there is a very distinct drop-off in the gap that Max was ever to have on a following or second or third place car, and it never returned there. It never returned to these highs. Okay, 22 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds, 13 seconds. The news comes out officially between April and May. By May 5th, all like sites and publicists and Red Bull are putting it out. It never returns to those highs. Okay, so do you see that? So it never returns to those highs. So I'm not sure exactly what it is. I can't tell you factually what it is, but what I can show you is what I do when things change and certain events happen. I'm going to take the date of those events or thereabout or around. I'm going to plug them into a chart. I'm going to track my constant of what I really want to see, and I'm going to look and see where the biggest change happened. All right, so Christian Horner, yeah, we had a small dip here. With Christian, but it kind of stayed there. It kind of bounced up. But when Adrian Newey announced, listen, since China, they've never returned to 10-second plus gaps on anybody. Now, keep in mind right here in between the 9th and the 7th of April, there was a DNF there. I didn't count the DNF that happened on the 24th of March. I didn't count that. I'm not going to count that against Max and Red Bull because it's a DNF, and I don't want to plug that in. I just think that would be a little disingenuous. So, Adrian Newey, drop off, never returns. But then we have this technical regulation that comes in, okay? A technical regulation that comes in, and boom, we have the biggest drop off of the Red Bull Racing calendar thus far. All right. Max Verstappen gapped by 37 seconds or more. I believe this is the situation. And let's see, what race was that? This race right here was Spain. The following race after Spain was, let's check that date. I'm going to check the following race after Spain. Right. I don't pretend to know all of this stuff by the top of my head. You know, I've always been told, look up information. So the following race right here, which is the 30th of June, was Austria. All right, that was Austria. He was completely off. George Russell won that race. Max Verstappen came in 37 seconds. Lewis Hamilton came in 23 seconds just after that. So there we go. All right. So therefore, the biggest drop-off we have right now is the drop-off that occurred after the technical regulations. A consistent drop-off that we have is the drop-off after the Adrian Newey announcement that he is leaving, not participating in meetings, not participating or allowed to contribute in the development of the car going forward, of course, because they don't want him to leave with that information. And I'm pretty sure Adrian Newey doesn't want to put new ideas into the car, and therefore those are ideas that can be held into a non-compete type of agreement where he can't then put those ideas somewhere else with another team. Okay, so I'm telling you this is what I suggest. Biggest drop off after the technical regulation right here. And then it never returns to this high again. It's almost like the stock market. Once you hit a ceiling and it never returns there, it's pretty much pretty much called a test. So it never tests this high again by a gap of 2 seconds. And from there, races are being lost. Max Verstappen's not on podium after Newey announcement a couple of times. He's losing. He's being gapped, if not having very small margins of gap. So this is what I would say. I would say that I think that it is a combination of the two. All right, now I'm going to go into some other things that are going to lead to this Red Bull fall, or maybe the lack of Red Bull winning or more losing forward into the season. I'm going to go into that. But what I am telling you is by that graph right there, you're looking at a situation that could likely be a combination of the both. And this is why I say that. Appreciate all the love in the chat, y'all. Appreciate the love in the super chat. The love, I really appreciate it. So this is what I will say. Adrian Newey not participating. Technical regulation, which means we got to find another way to design and develop this car around this technical regulation that has been amended, which therefore is active currently. Newey's not here to help us. A constant fall off. That's what I think. I think it's a combination of Newey not being there in the development process and this new technical regulation that has therefore put them on the back foot. Now, what is this technical regulation, you say? Let me show you what this technical regulation is, all right? So if we go in here, this technical regulation, I'm going to show you this real quick. Here we are right here. And we're sitting right here, 11.1.2 is of the brake system, all right? Article 11. The amendment right here is any system or mechanism which can produce systematically or intentionally asymmetric braking torques for a given axle is forbidden. Big shout out Sylvia Witt Kelly saying that Red Bull going down like a hooker on First Street. Oh my gosh. Hey, that's a lot of sucking. And they are sucking right now, Sylvia Witt Kelly. They are sucking. That's a whole bunch of sucking. It's a whole bunch of what they call it, jawbone action, all right? So, yeah, I do think that this is part of it, all right? This is one of the situations that you get into, and you have to start thinking about what is going on. But something else that I'd like to point out, besides for this technical regulation, is the loss of people, all right? First, we got Dietrich, which rest in peace to Dietrich. Definitely, you don't want to ever have a situation where you're condemning somebody who's lost somebody. So we're not going to even play with that. But now you have Jonathan Wheatley on his way out and going to Audi, and he will be gone this season. The next thing you have is you have Max Verstappen, Jos Verstappen's dad, trying to make sure that he's looking out for his son's best interest as far as his racing career. Then you have Rob Marshall, who went to McLaren for some time. All right. You had Dan Fallows, went to Aston Martin. Then you got Adrian Newey leaving. We're not sure where he's going yet, but likely it might be Ferrari. And then you have Helmut Marko, who has some type of clause tied to Max Verstappen if he wants to stay or leave. If he stays, Max Verstappen has to stay for his entire contract. If he leaves, Max Verstappen can go ahead and get out of his contract. And then you have Christian Horner right now kind of suppressing people in the team. Everybody, I don't think a lot of people are too happy about him being around, but he's going to stay there. And I don't think another team might want him unless they just want to go that route. And then you have the team combination of Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, all right? These are a bunch of things that you have going on that indeed can impact what you will have going on as far as a team that is going to be able to produce and or overcome this deficit that they've found themselves in. These are the things that you indeed do have, okay? These are the things that you indeed do have. So how do they overcome this? That is one of the biggest questions, is how do they overcome this situation that they've gotten themselves into? And I do say they've gotten themselves into because indeed Red Bull is responsible for so many of the things that have been blunders, okay? They're responsible for Christian Horner and his blunder because you either did not check or reprimand Christian Horner when said things were said or reported. You're also at fault and responsible for the actions and some of the characteristics of Max Verstappen because maybe you didn't check it inside the team, but it damn sure didn't get checked by the FIA, okay? That is one thing that we do know. Another thing that we have is a situation where we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, well, Adrian Newey's involved, and maybe he didn't care for the treatment of his personnel that may have been involved in the Christian Horner situation. Another thing we're looking at is the point where maybe Red Bull don't recover from this. Maybe they don't recover from this. Maybe there is a possibility where Red Bull will continuously drop off. Are we going to look at this chart in another 4 or 5 races and see a continuous downward trend? Because that is what we see here. From the start of the season to where Red Bull is right now, they have never returned to that 20-something second gap that we grew accustomed to seeing race in and race out. That is a fact, a statistical data fact. As you see right now in front of your face, you see that they have not returned to this level of dominance since the beginning of the season. They plateaued here, they dropped after Adrian Newey, and they have since then dropped again after these technical regulations. I'm just saying, this indeed does look like a continuous downward trend. That's exactly what it is. And if you really want to try to get cynical with it, every time they've had a situation, Christian Horner, a slight drop, never returns here. Adrian Newey, another slight drop. It never returns here. The technical regulations, a big drop. It never returns here. After every major event for Red Bull in this season, they've had a dip and a dip that they've never recovered from. That is a classical downward trend in anybody's stock market or hot map. That is what I've just shown you. That's not my opinion. That's not what I'm just mythically thinking up. That is factually numbers plugged into a chart, and that is what it gave me. So why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because it happens all the time. It happens to several teams. It happened to Ferrari. It happened to Mercedes. It's going to happen. It happened to Williams. These things happen. The only thing that can change between team and genres and eras is how long can you maintain said dominance. I told you all here, Red Bull, before worrying about Lewis Hamilton, before worrying about Mercedes, they had to find a way to break through their ceiling. Their ceiling is 4 championships back to back. That is what they have to achieve first before we can talk about them going beyond that. They haven't reached that yet. And I'm telling you right now, it's a possibility that it might not happen this season. It is very possible that Red Bull already is in trouble of Constructor Championship. But it is statistically and numerically possible that Max Verstappen may indeed be challenged by McLaren for the driver championship by way of Lando Norris, being 70-something points apart. We still have a lot of season left. We still have sprint races left. That means additional points for teams and drivers. It's not out of the gate yet, okay? These things happen. What else happens? How much and how strong is the cohesiveness of a team matters when you're trying to be dominant across eras of any sport that you participate in. Sylvia Wick Kelly says Red Bull, a child driver who throws a tantrum, which is hilarious. Helmet, who looks like a half dead but still has a slight pulse. Horner, who gropes anything that breathes. And Haas, woman beater. Oh my gosh. That super chat was fire. That was a fire super chat. Yo, let me show y'all who I think Helmut Marko looks like. I'm going to show y'all who I think Helmut Marko looks like. I'm not even capping. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to put this picture up of who I think Helmut Marko reminds me of, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking. I'm just asking, all right? This is what Helmut Marko looks like to me. That's Helmut Marko. Do that not look like Helmut Marko? I'm putting a poll up in the chat. I'm putting a poll up in the chat right now. I got to ask y'all, does that not look like Helmut Marko? I just got to ask y'all. That's Helmut Marko right there. Ain't no front, ain't no capping. No capping. Somebody tell me, did that not look like Helmut Marko? That look like Helmut Marko to me. I'm just asking. I'm just asking anybody else, do that look like Helmut? I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to go ahead and take it down. I ain't trying to, it's not about age, shaming, or none of that. I'm just saying he do look like Helmut Marko. So anyway, as we sit right here, we will find out what exactly is going to happen when the time comes. But as the technical regulation sits, the brake system that must be designed so that within each circuit, the forces applied to the brake pads are the same magnitude and acts as opposing pairs on a given brake disc. Any system or mechanism which can provide systematically or intentionally asymmetric braking torques for a given axle is forbidden. Okay, so why do I show this again? Because something else. Extract says Lando couldn't win a race if he was in car 10 seconds and lap faster. Oh my gosh. Extract's 38. Damn, bro. Damn. Woo. That's some heat for Lando, man. But hey, I ain't gonna hold you because Lando does bottle it. He does bottle it. So why do I show you the technical regulation again? I show you this because you have to overcome that too. Don't act like Mercedes went through their dominant streak and was never challenged or petitioned on development. Let's not forget about DAS. Let's not forget about the flexing wing. Let's not forget about all the things that Christian Horner and Red Bull specifically always tried to protest, yet here it is. It looks like Red Bull might have been in trouble for maybe designing something that quite wasn't the intentions of the FIA to ever be designed, and therefore, we're not going to wait till the end of the season. We're going to make an amendment, and you're going to have to abide by it right now. And I will say this. Let's just keep it real. When that technical regulation hit, we did see a dip. So there may be something to that. Adrian Newey hit, we did see a dip. So I say that teams have to be able to overcome that. But in order to overcome those things, as a team, you have to be strong. The cohesiveness has to be strong. As a leader, you have to be a good leader. Christian Horner is not a good leader. We've established that he's not a good leader. He'll go to the hell and back for Max Verstappen in any of the wrong situations. He'll lie or deceive or put off or be candid about any situation. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't have integrity and good character. And that is infectious when it comes to a team. If you don't have integrity and good character, other teammates likely might mirror that. Okay. Those who won't mirror that will be rebellious to that. And I always tell people this: authority without relationship equals rebellion. Okay. I tell all my young mentees that. I tell anybody that's been underneath my command that authority without relationship equals rebellion. I'm not sure Christian Horner's relationship is that sound in the team. And him being an authority figure might indeed have others being rebellious. Adrian Newey's leaving. I don't think he was pleased about the situation. Jonathan Wheatley is now leaving, going to Audi. And I heard he pulled up in an Audi, and Christian Horner wasn't too happy about that. But yeah, here are some of the other things that happen. Poaching. Poaching is indeed another aspect and another rock around your neck or on your shoulders that comes with being successful. All right. When you are successful, people want what you have. And what you have right now are key components in your team that contribute to your winning success. Adrian Newey is a contribution to your winning success. Okay. Rob, Dan Fallows, Jonathan Wheatley, components to your success. People want what you have that makes you successful, not only for them to be successful, but to weaken your ability to be successful. Big shout out for all the love in the live chat, y'all. Y'all are super dope. Y'all are super dope, for real, for real. These are real things. 86% of y'all said that looked like Helmut Marko. I'm inclined to, I believe y'all. I'm with y'all. Shout out to K5 who said Marko looked like he fought in the Civil War. Marko looked like he fought in the Civil War and used his face. Never used nothing else. Just combated with his face. It just is toe down. So all of these things are variables that have now put Red Bull where they are. Just legitimately being real. This is what has put Red Bull where they are. So Um, this is gonna happen. Now, there is a possibility. Does Red Bull get back to work and can they overcome this deficit? Will Red Bull is red like every time you see a rebound, right? You have to wonder, are they going to be on the up? Is a stock price going to be on the up? Because sometimes what happened is you get it right here and you get a test and it drops, a test and it drops. If Red Bull pops here and we see them hit this mark and then they drop again, likely it's going to continue to go down. That's just how trends sometimes work. But if they get a test here and then pop here, it's a possibility that Red Bull could have a breakout and be on the upswing. That might happen. We'll have to see. But I can tell you this, the gaps have decreased. That 19-20 second gap that we once knew has not resurfaced again at all this season. At all this season. The main thing that's going to be a challenge for Max, and I do mean is if Lando can be the McLaren driver to take the top step more than not. And will Max end up off podium a few more times throughout this season? If Max ends up off podium a few more times this season and Lando takes the podium a few or more times this season, it is quite possible, although the largest deficit, I think, is what they're reporting that would have been combated by a driver to capture the driving championship. Listen, stats are made to be broken. Goals are made to be extended, all right? Records are meant to be broken. It's not impossible for Lando to do this, especially with a McLaren car that is damn for sure arrived in fast. Ferrari used to be the fastest team. They are not the second fastest team anymore. McLaren is debatably the fastest team now. Red Bull is the second debatably fastest team now. And Ferrari, don't think about it. Mercedes is debatably the third fastest team right now. Okay? It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. Ferrari's falling to the best of the rest. They're going to start being on the Alpine tour if they don't get their act together. So this is where we sit. These are the things that happen when a team is successful. These are the things that happen when you have everything that you think you want and you fly too close to the sun. I hope those feathers are glued right and with heat-resistant glue, because once you fly close to the sun, things get hot. You have a target on your back, and now we will see how Red Bull weathers this storm. If they get through this season and still capture a driver's championship, let alone a constructor championship, it's going to be some credit given to them, because I do think even if they were playing around with trying to make sure that this season didn't look so dominant that Max Verstappen would always be under fire of the criticism of you're only a front runner, a situation where you play wounded can actually end up with you being hunted and wounded. So you ever played on the game and you were playing the game, you say, you know what, I beat this person all the time, I'm going to let them get up a little bit. But what you didn't account for is this other person, because you've been beating their ass this whole time. They've been practicing a lot. And it just so happened they hit a niche and you decided to play down and they whooped your ass. But now they really whooping your ass. You can't come back like that because they got really good. They got really good. They got really good on the sticks. And now it's equal competition, and you just laid down your last and final ability to beat them like you used to beat them. Red Bull, if they were doing that, which, you know, some people wondered if they were playing around trying to make it look a certain way, well, they made a mistake, because that was going to be their last time, because I don't think all this right here is play. I don't think all this sandbagging. I think this is legitimate. Teams have improved. Legitimate. Red Bull can't develop like they used to. Legitimate. The team is fractured. Legitimate. The damn character, the cohesiveness is broken. Corey A. White says, much love, Wolfpack fan. Red Bull is in trouble. The cracks have been shown and getting worse. LH44 will not be denied. And Merck is losing the GOAT. Facts. They are losing the GOAT. They are losing the GOAT. And like we were talking about before, we got to see if Ferrari can actually develop something where Lewis Hamilton will have a legitimate opportunity to win, because it's looking bad right now. Let's just keep it real. G5 MDS, we flying, but he loves Max too much to be a champion. Yeah, we'll see. We're going to see what happened with that for sure. Big shout out Sylvia with Kelly checking in, assisting me in the live chat. Big shout out. So, hey, people, I just wanted to show you that. I don't know what you all think. I will show you that graph for the final time before we ride out. And like I said, Adrian Newey's situation, Christian Horner's situation right here in red, they had a drop. Adrian Newey right here, announcement that he's going to be leaving. They had a drop. And then the technical regulation 11.1.2, I believe that's 11.1.2, right? Yeah, 11.1.2. That announced that, enacted it, and then a big drop, and they never returned. So you let me know. What do you think is the cause for Red Bull failing? Mary Beanie says, Jay, phone, Audi for hiring Cheatley. Maybe they brain scan. Hey, man. Hey, Mary, Audi is even bringing in Bonotto. They're bringing in Bonotto. I don't know. That's going to be a whole nother live. That's a whole nother live event for us to even really discuss that. Because Audi, I'm questioning even more now Audi's entry in the Formula One being at least a mediocre entry, because Mattia I know some people say it wasn't him, but I don't think he was a catalyst in that position of team principal to really do what needed to be done for a team to say, you know what, we want that guy. I think they're just trying to say, you know, it could be worse. We'll say that for another live. But now they got Wheatley. And to me, Wheatley is better than Mattia. I'm just going to say, in my opinion, he's better than Mattia in his own capacity. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Red Bull, hey, game on. Challenge is up. You got to face what all other real historical dominant teams, because you're not a historical dominant team. Seb is a historical driver, but you're not a historical dominant team. And for you to do that, you're going to have to get 6 or 8. You got to get 6 or 8 plus, to me. In my opinion, Red Bull has to get 6 plus or 8 plus in order to be considered of the Ferraris, of the Mercedes. They're going to have to do that. And I might have to take it even a step further with Williams. I know Williams was broke up. You know, they had like 2-2, 3-2, but that's still a lot of winning. You know what I'm saying? That's still a lot of winning as a constructor throughout the course of time that you've been there. And it's been a long time since they've done it. But I'm talking about in their era from 97 all the way back to 1980, or from 1980 all the way up to 1997. They won at least 8. They had at least 8. Was it 8? Let's look it up and see. I think it was 7 or 8. Let's see. What was it? Williams. Okay, so 1980, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. They had 9 in total for that time, okay? So Williams has 9. Okay, they're a historical dominant team. Although in spurts, 9 constructor championships within that time frame, I'll give them that. I will give them that, to me, in my opinion. Then you have Ferrari, okay? Ferrari, since 1961 all the way up, I mean, shit, look at them. They did their damn thing too. I mean, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, look, 14, 15, 16, keep going, okay? The most winningest constructor in Formula One history, and their longest streak happened between 1999 and 2004. They went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 streak, 6 winning streaks. So like I said, hey, take it up. And then, of course, you got Mercedes. We already know Mercedes, 8-time constructor champions, all right, all the way from 2014 until 2020. 2021 went on their whole thing for constructor championship. I'm thinking about Lewis Hamilton when he got his last driver championship. I'm going to just kind of blip right there. Constructor championship, Mercedes still got theirs. So all the way from 2014 to 2021. So, yeah, Red Bull just have that 4. That's all they got. They just got that 4, and now they have 3. So now they got to breeze through that. So altogether, still, they have 7. All right, they got 7, but most dominant, you got to go on that run like Ferrari, Mercedes. You got to get 6 plus. That's what you're trying to break through. You got to get 6 plus. They're still going to be a historical team because they got 7. They got 7 constructor championship titles, but they still, you know, you gotta break that streak. If you want to be that, you got to streak. But they're still a historical winning team. Of course, you know, we already know. You don't have to question Aston Martin don't got diddly squat, Alpine diddly squat, Haas diddly squat, Kick Sauber just get out of there. Alfa Romeo, I believe, had some, but Kick don't have crap. McLaren, of course, has some, you know what I'm saying, ranging back, and they got more than a few. So McLaren is a historical winning team. Their longest streak was 4 from 88 to 91. So you also have that. And so, yeah, I just think it's going to be, we're going to see if they can actually overcome all of this and get on, because it will be something to be said. And even if you don't like Red Bull, even if you don't like Helmut, even if you don't like Max, even if you don't like Christian Horner, you still have to give credit for a team to go through challenges. I know they cheated, but we getting outside that now because things, we can't get outside of it. It happened. They cheated. But still, you still got your set of challenges and obstacles to overcome in order for you to be competitive and the most successful in your sport. And if they can get through this, I am saying that this is a legitimate challenge. This is a legitimate obstacle. This is a legitimate test for Red Bull, almost on all fronts: personnel, organization, development, car, key head personnel, all of that stuff. If they can driver lineup, if they can manage to get through this and still win and then still get back on their dominant streak, I just think you do have to give them a little credit for that. I think you do, just a tad, just some. If you don't want to give them a lot, just some to keep the integrity of your take or your perspective. All right. So we'll see what happens. We got racing coming up. Join us this weekend, Sunday. We will have Grudge Racing. The link is already up. The channel little video up. Save that. Meet us here. Watch some Spin Cam. If you want to participate, send me a friend request on EA Sports platform at Wolfpack F1. I will get you in there. We will have these races. We're going to have a good ass time. I will see you all later. Wolfpack out. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats, because I don't want to miss my super chat people. And Mary Beanie was the last one. So with that being said, Wolfpack out. Peace.